Welcome to our channel. For today, we will recap a supernatural horror film called Exhuma from year 2024. Have you seen this movie yet? If not, grab some popcorn and hold on to your seats. A prestigious Korean shaman, Lee Warim, and her apprentice, Bong Gil, are hired by a wealthy Korean-American family to uncover the cause of their newborn son's enigmatic illness. But it turns out to be a more tragic case than they had ever anticipated. Warim and Bong Gil enter the hospital, but the mother appears unwelcoming. Warim signals for everyone to leave the room, and they conduct a ritual to assess the child's condition. At the family's mansion, examining the place, Warim discovers that the curse is a grave's call, the vengeful spirit of an ancestor haunting them. As she discusses the situation, the family's patriarch, Park Ji-young, entrusts them with the task of relocating the grave to appease his grandfather's spirit. Warim enlists the help of colleagues, Feng Shui master Kim Sang-deok and mortician Young-gun. Sang-deok and Young-gun open the coffin and inspect the bones. Young-gun informs everyone that the bones were examined without permission and removes the dentures. A grandchild confesses to tampering with the bones, expressing a desire to preserve them as a memory of their grandmother. Later that evening, as Sang-deok and Young-gun enjoy dinner, Warim and Bong Gil arrive. Warim brings up their client, Park Ji-young, whose mother is Korean and father is American. She mentions that the eldest grandchildren, as well as the newborns, are afflicted with ghostly illnesses. Ji-young and his mother are in conversation. She opposes the notion of digging his grandfather's grave, insisting that the baby will improve with continued treatment. However, Ji-young, as the head of the family, remains steadfast in his decision. At the hospital, the baby's condition deteriorates with each passing day. Ji-young informs Sang-deok of his desire to promptly cremate his grandfather's remains, along with the tomb, for confidential reasons. Due to opposition from his mother's relatives, Ji-young aims to expedite the process. Sang-deok wants to inspect the grave site first. In northern Gangwon province, Sang-deok feels uneasy about the location. Upon entering the gate, they notice foxes. Upon reaching the grave, Sang-deok immediately tastes the soil with his fingertips and examines the tomb. Standing on a pile of soil, he inspects the stone further. Ji-young mentions instructions from a monk regarding his grandfather's burial, but Sang-deok promptly rejects the job and walks away. Warim and the others follow him in the car. He insists that it's not the right place for the body to rest undisturbed. Foxes and tombs are incompatible, making it the worst possible location, he adds. Ji-young watches them intently from outside the car. In his condo unit, Ji-young attempts to persuade Sang-deok. He shares the heartbreaking experience of almost having 2 children, only to suffer a miscarriage, leaving his surviving son as his sole hope. Ji-young pleads with Sang-deok to save his son. Sang-deok confronts Ji-young about the numbers engraved on the stone, saying that there is an accurate intention for burying his grandfather's remains in that place. He insists that it is dangerous to move the grave without knowing more details. However, Warim convinces them that she can conduct rituals simultaneously while the grave is being excavated to ward off the curse. Sang-deok disagrees, but he feels powerless to intervene. Returning to the grave site, they bring with them 5 deceased pigs and 5 individuals born in the year of the pig. They mark their heads, cut some of the hair, and insert it into the pig's mouth. As they prepare for the ritual, Ji-young's aunt suddenly appears at the site, casting an unexpected presence over the proceedings. Upon Warim's arrival, the ritual commences as the man intones sacred words. Warim then grasps swords, performing intricate movements around the bodies of the 5 chosen individuals, who will later undertake the task of digging the tomb. As the rhythmic pulse of a drum permeates the air, she begins to dance, her movements synchronized with the beat. All eyes are drawn to her as she moves, and she proceeds towards the fire and begins to cut into the bodies of each pig, performing the ritualistic task with reverence and purpose. Meanwhile, the others begin to dig the hole. She repeats the rituals, putting the blood in her mouth. At last, they reach the casket buried beneath the earth. Sang-deok and Young-gun approach the coffin, its age nearly rendering it unrecognizable to Sang-deok's eyes. With care, they lift it, preparing it for transportation. As they handle the ancient relic, Sang-deok tosses a coin as a sign of respect, a silent reminder to Young-gun to handle the delicate cargo with the utmost care during its journey in the car. However, a moment of alarm ensues when one of the diggers inadvertently severs the head of a human-headed snake, a harbinger of ill fortune, according to superstition. The weather suddenly changed, and dark clouds covered the sky. Rain starts to fall. Sang-deok informs Ji-young to postpone the cremation because, according to superstition, the deceased never goes to the good place. At the hospital, Yonggun cleans the coffin to prepare it for cremation. The relatives do not allow anyone to open the coffin. Sangdiak informs Yonggun that he is going somewhere, and he heads to Baogo Temple to investigate the tomb on the top of the mountain. The villager shares rumors from the past about the tomb. It attracts many grave robbers, but none succeed in digging it up. Some suddenly disappear, while others flee to the north. The villager shows the tools left by the robbers on the mountain. As Yonggun takes a break to enjoy a meal outside the hospital, the local custodian, driven by unknown motives, proceeds to open the coffin. Unwittingly, he unleashes the vengeful entity trapped within, the spirit of Ji Yong's grandfather. Warim senses the presence of the entity and loses consciousness. With blood from her nose, Warim warns them about the exceptionally malevolent spirit in the coffin. The spirit of Ji Yong's grandfather begins to target its own bloodline with malicious intent. Deceptively, it tricks the old man into opening the door, allowing it to enter the house and claim his life. Meanwhile, unaware of the impending danger, Ji Yong's mother is dancing in her room when the spirit sets its sights on her as the next target, choking her to death. And Ji Yong is no exception. Warim urgently summons Sangdiak for immediate assistance to halt the spirit's rampage. Together, they hastily prepare for the ritual to confront the malevolent entity. As Warim sets the rhythm with the drum and begins chanting through the song, Ji Yong finds himself submerged in a bathtub, only to be startled awake by the spirit's chilling shout echoing in his ears, jolting him back onto his bed. The spirit merges with Bongil's body, casting its true image onto the glass. Warim confronts it with unwavering confidence. Intent on taking Park's family and grandchildren with it, the spirit suddenly vomits to flee from Bongil's body. Ji Yong receives a call from Sangdiak, feeling a bit puzzled as he hears panicked knocking at the door, with the same person cautioning him not to open it because his grandfather's spirit has escaped. Over the phone, Sangdiak instructs Ji Yong to open the window, laughing afterward. It becomes evident that the spirit is mimicking Sangdiak to deceive Ji Yong. Eventually, the spirit takes possession of Ji Yong's body. After consuming copious amounts of water, it twists Ji Yong's head until he succumbs to death. Warim and the others swiftly transport the coffin to the nearest cremation center, awaiting approval before proceeding with the cremation process. Sangdiak promptly calls Ji Yong's aunt to seek approval for cremating the coffin. As the baby's life hangs in the balance, the spirits begin to harm the infant. Fortunately, Ji Yong's aunt grants permission for the cremation and initiates the burning of the coffin. This timely action proves instrumental in saving the child's life. Months later, Yonggun informs Sangdiak about the disturbed gravedigger who killed a human-headed snake. Intrigued, Sangdiak revisits the site and is astonished by the sight of the snake with a human head. Upon closer inspection, he discovers another coffin buried beneath the soil, revealing it to be a stacked burial. Sangdiak is informing Yonggun, Bongil, and Warim to come to the site immediately. They are examining the coffin that has been buried upside down. The coffin is sealed with chains and is unusually large. Not the size of a normal coffin, it is giant-sized. Despite this, they continue to dig it up. Warim has strange feelings about the coffin. As it is nearly night, they hurry to extract it and transport it to where Songdiak meets the villager. Songdiak requests a place where the coffin can be placed. The villagers are shocked. Warim requests glutinous rice and orders Bongil to fetch some horse blood to seal around the coffin. Ji Yong's aunt appears, and Songdiak asks more about the coffin, but Ji Yong's aunt has nothing to answer. She simply states that the monk who decided where her father would be buried was Japanese. Even after showing a picture, Ji Yong's aunt doesn't understand anything and leaves the coffin under Warim and others' responsibility. Before the villagers appear, Bongil performs a ritual. Then he invites them to have dinner. Warim is on her phone with her sister, informing her about the fox demon, realizing it's not a human but likely a fox cub, called Onmyoji Murayama. She discovers that Ji Yong's grandfather was cursed by the monk. As she closes her eyes, she doesn't notice a spirit in the back seat of the car, right behind her. As the villager prepares for sleep, he senses something amiss. Suddenly, Bongil awakens abruptly, only to find the villager standing over him, bloodied. With a swift motion, Bongil sketches something with his finger, and miraculously, he's able to stand up. Without hesitation, he rushes outside to inspect the barn but finds the gate still locked. There, he notices the pigs screaming frantically and witnesses a horrifying scene, a creature tearing into them. In a panic, he flees from the scene immediately. Bongil rushes to Warim to inspect the coffin. The reason the coffin is buried upside down is to maintain the seal, but now that they've dug it up, The seal is broken and the creature has been set free, their faces betraying fear and shock. Warim swiftly instructs Bongil to awaken the others. As she approaches the coffin, she discovers a helmet. Suddenly, feet covered in blood appear at the gate, revealing a towering figure. Warim kneels down in reverence for Murayama. Startled, she recoils as the creature throws a head at her, stunning her. Murayama soon realizes that she too is human and begins to chase her. Just as he closes in, Bongil emerges and attempts to stab Murayama. However, due to the armor, his attack fails to leave a scratch on Murayama. Murayama unveils his true, frightening form as a giant and takes off Bongil's liver using his bare hands. Chanting an eerie incantation, he ignites into flames. As Warim, Songdiak, and Yangun gaze at Murayama, they fall into a hypnotic trance, experiencing haunting flashbacks in their minds. The fire ascends into the sky until it vanishes. Bongil miraculously survives, but Warim cries out for help. The following morning, they awakened in the hospital. Bongil remains in the operating room. Sangdiak expresses remorse for insisting on digging up the coffin. The doctor arrives and recommends transferring Bongil to a larger hospital. Later that evening, Songdiak returns to the barn, recalling the presence of a stash belonging to tomb robbers stored in the warehouse. He promptly inspects it and discovers books and photos within. Warim calls her sister and proposes to play a ghost game. Songdiak returns to the grave and is startled, only to find the corpse. Warim and her sisters at the hospital try to communicate with the spirit through a ritual. Eventually, Xiao Xian possesses the body of Bongil and reveals that he is the protector of the place, cursed by the fox. Xiao Xian expresses a desire for the baby to be offered as a gift to the protector. Warim removes the paper, and her sister promptly burns it. Before departing, her sister warns her to steer clear of any dangers related to this case. Songdiak promptly informs Yangun and Warim about his theory on how to defeat Murayama. He insists that by finding an iron needle and cleansing it, they can break the curse and live peacefully, which is especially crucial for Bongil's recovery. Although Yangun opposes the idea, they ultimately have no other option but to proceed with Songdiak's plan. While nurses clean Bongil's wounds, Warim understands the significance of the scripture. They return to the site with the scripture embedded on their faces. They prepare the area, using sweet fish to lure Murayama to the spell tree and ready horseblood to cleanse the iron needle. Warim's sister prepares for any potential occurrences during the ritual and remains vigilant over Bongil. They wait until the time is right for Murayama to reappear. Slowly, a hand emerges from the ground to snatch the sweet fish. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Bongil begins mimicking the actions of Murayama. Murayama stands up and continues eating fish as he makes his way towards the spell tree. Warim starts a fire to create smoke around the spell tree, waiting for Murayama to approach. Once he does, she communicates with Murayama, asserting her ownership of the land and pleading for him to release the humans he has been controlling. Meanwhile, Songdiak and Yangun start digging, searching for the iron needle. However, to their dismay, they find no trace of the needle buried in the soil. Murayama finds Warim and is poised to strike her down when the spirit of an old lady, Warim's mother-in-law, materializes and halts Murayama in his tracks. Seizing the opportunity, Warim flees and runs into Yangun, confirming their failure to find the iron needle. As they talk, they witness flames shooting up into the sky, heading towards Songdiak. They rush to the grave. Songdiak, startled by the fire descending near him, is seized by Murayama, who attempts to extract his liver. Reacting quickly, Warim and Yangun pour horse blood onto Murayama, causing him to ignite and burn. At the hospital, the sisters begin chanting words. The two rush to Songdiak, but Murayama grabs them by their necks, and they all witness flashbacks of how Murayama was cursed. Songdiak suddenly comprehends why the elements are in the book. He realizes that Murayama is like burning iron, vulnerable to water and wood. Summoning his last reserves of strength, he takes the wood soaked with horse blood and stabs Murayama in the feet. Bongil feels the effect and vomits blood. Songdiak uses his own blood to wet more of the wood and gives all his strength to the last strike that cuts Murayama's body into two. With Murayama defeated, the curse is finally broken, bringing an end to the ordeal. At the hospital, Bongil recovers, and Songdiak gradually regains his strength, defying his age. He feels a pang of jealousy as he watches the others eating in his room, knowing he's restricted to eating only what he needs while he continues to recover. Months pass, and they all return to their normal lives as if nothing ever happened. The media reports that the terrifying crime scenes at the gravesite were caused by a live bear, unaware of the eerie truth behind the incidents. Despite not forgetting what happened and the memory of Murayama lingering in their minds, they continue to move forward and live their lives. At Sondeok's daughter's wedding, he considers Warim, Yonggun, and Bongil as part of the family and takes a picture of them, cementing their bond even further. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy the movie.